Okay, there is this thing that's called measurability. Measurability. You're measuring, you have the measurability of an activity. Okay? Now, here's the problem with measurability. A lot of times, people will actually think to themselves the entire time they're doing the exercise. So instead of working on concentrating, the only thing that they're concentrating on is the measurability. It sounds silly, but it really is. It happens a lot. I've seen well over 20,000 exercises. So I've seen this time and time and time again. So let's discuss this. The problem with measurability is that it's the same thing as when you have emotional preparation. You do your preparation and then you're supposed to let go of it. So you do your measurability and then you let go of it. You work hard towards getting the thing done. You become involved in doing the independent activity, but you do not be in a situation where you're constantly measuring your progress. When you're measuring your progress, you're taking yourself away from your work, because what's happening is you're becoming logical. So understanding this concept whenever you're working with logic, you're going to be limiting your involvement. So you want to be able to work with logic the least amount, but at the same time you want to follow the ideas of the script and of the playwright, of the exercise you want to be involved in. So you have your general idea, you've set the parameter up of measurability, and then you go ahead and you do measurability. So like, let's take this example. I'm just looking at one right off the top. Now I have this is over 800 acting activities that I wrote out myself. After I got assaulted, I was sick for quite some time. Still am recovering a little bit with stuff. So, all right. So this one says confirming architecture drawing. So if you're confirming an architecture drawing, now that's you're double checking all the different lines of everything, making sure that it matches up within the architecture drawing. If that's the activity, then it's not a matter of having a checklist to see whether you might have a checklist, you might be that well organized, and if so, that's fine. But this is a bit of a logical activity. But even with that logical activity, you want to be able to have it measurable. But the thing is you want to let go of the measurability to be able to get it done. So, taxidermying your favorite animal or your favorite pet. That's a heck of a great activity. You bring in, go out to the park. I guess go to a park. This is terrible advice, but it's good advice. Go to the park, capture a pigeon. Get a pigeon and try and see if you can do taxidermy. Now, there might be stores. There is obviously stores that you can buy the supplies to do the taxidermy. And then you could do and set up the parameter of doing the taxidermy. Now, when you're involved in the actual doing, you're going to be involved in the doing. You're not going to be worrying logically about whether or not you have it done. Now, it brings to a very simple point. All the time, many, many, many times in the acting exercises, I would say there's a massive pandemic with logic in the exercises, in acting classes. And that's normal because you're learning to be able to learn how to act. So when you're learning how to act, you're wanting to put more focus on for yourself to be more involved, right? So the way that you actually do that is you actually put the parameter up, and then you know that you've got the parameter set. So you've got your measurability set for yourself. And then you put your involvement in, and then you just see what happens. So another one here, designing a tube sculpture. Okay, so you go out and get a whole bunch of tubes. You could do this with bicycle tubes. Old bicycle tube tires, you pick up some from someplace. Heck, go to some bicycle store and ask them for some old tubes that they're throwing out in the garbage. Then make one activity, repairing the tubes, right? So you're repairing the tubes to be able to get ready to make a sculpture. And for the sculpture, and then you do the other one, which is basically getting the actual sculpture created, the sculpture that you want to make. So let's say you're really into Ethereum and you want to make an Ethereum sculpture of bicycle tubes. Now that is a fantastic idea. I mean, why not, right? It's something you have to ask yourself, are you motivated? Because you don't want to just work from measurability alone to the point where you're trying to, there's that old saying, don't try and achieve the objective and think that the objective overdoes everything behind it, because sometimes it doesn't. You want to be able to work in a way where you don't want to put the cart before the horse, is another way of saying it. You want to work in a way where you set the parameter. It's set. And then you have the measurability set. And then you get your involvement. So the entire time when you're actually in the acting exercises, or you're working with activities and scenes, or you're working with activities in exercises towards scenes, you work to you put your involvement in, and then don't examine it until after your work. And then you can look yourself and you can say, wow, I did get a lot of this activity done, or I didn't get a lot of this activity done. A lot of times the students will actually try and measure their work during their acting work, and that's not the time to do it. So I hope that this is helpful. There's this thing, booping the like button. That's what they're calling it now, some people. So call it booping the like button, and like the like button if you'd like. And there is this list that I have that is, I'm going to put it out for $7. And you can get a printable list of it if you'd like, but you can go online for free and get and look at it, and that's fine. But if you want to get the other one, that's fine. But the examples of this, I mean, decorating cakes, designing a decal in leather, tuning a bicycle, that's a good one. Bedazzling bicycle spokes. There's these kits that you can get that you can actually put onto the bicycle wheels. You can do sketching an image. There's these reflectors that actually reflect an image from a phone onto a sheet, and then you can trace it. These are all really good options. Ironing dress shirts, of course, simple stuff like that. And carving statues. The list is full, and this is the work. When I sat in and when I've been watching classes and teaching and different things, then basically that's the part of the list. I haven't put all of my activities in here. This was just what I did by memory. So I have a lot more activities to go in it, and if you wanted to suggest activities in the comments, I'd be more than happy to add it. I've got no ego about that, I don't think. And just let's see if we can make really the biggest list, and let's go from there. But understand this. This is very, very important. Your job is you want to set the parameters. So let's as an example, just really quick for the more advanced people and people who want to take a peek at the advanced. If you're looking at emotional preparation, and you're going to be doing these independent activities with emotional preparation, you take your independent, you got your activities, and they're all set, and then you literally sit there and you work with your emotional preparation. You purposefully upset yourself. You do something that's or you purposefully allow yourself to invite some sort of emotional thing in, and you got the idea of the upset in you, and then you are mature enough to be able to wait until you get some feelings about that thing, and you've got some feelings and some intuition starting to work, And then when you get really good at this, what happens is you end up saturating a little bit in the feelings. And you work with the feelings, because feelings are fleeting. They'll just come and they'll go. And you work until you get deep feelings. And then when you get deep feelings, all of a sudden you'll feel it and it will work, and there'll be something turn in your gut. And then you'll know that you have an emotion. Now, when you've got an emotion, now this is all within your personal emotional preparation, right? This is the exact same element it's a different element, but it's the exact same principle of the actual what you do with setting this parameter for measurability. You set this thing up inside of yourself with an emotion, and you activate that emotion, and then you bring it into the work, but you just let it be there by interaction. Sometimes there'll be parts where you have to bring it in more acutely, and of course you'll be able to do that. Maybe there's a specific thing for the first moment that you've got to be able to get. That's fine, but generally there's a lot to it. You're going to be able to bring this thing into the work. It's bringing in the emotion, not the logic. So you're bringing in the emotion into the work, and then you're going to be able to, if you're working with the independent activity, then you get into the independent activity with that energy and with that and that muster. And if you need help to do that, then you get a motivation. You pull up a motivation, you pull a motivation, you drag that motivation right through what you've just activated with your emotion. So then that motivation helps the thing to carry through into the work, and then you carry that right into your activity. So when you're dealing with measurability, it's the exact same, it's very similar principle. You set the parameter up, and then you discover what happens. So you've got to let it go enough to be able to see whether it works or not. And it's just a great old saying, very old. It says, if you love it, it will love you back. If it doesn't love you, then why do you need to worry about it, right? So you work with these things so that you have a measurability, you set the measurability, and then you kind of test your actor's faith whether or not you're actually going to get it and go into it or not. If you get it or you go into it. And that's the idea. So work this out for yourselves, stay motivated in acting, and really just stay motivated. Stay motivated with this stuff. Understand that there is a component called motivation, and a lot of times that motivation is a lot better than consequence to work from, because you want to work from your motivation and from what motivates you to do something, to complete something, rather than working from consequence, which is another logical component. So if you're only working from logic, then you're going to only get logic in your work. Your acting's not going to have as much of you in it. So put yourself into it and really work hard. This list is fantastic. It's going to continue to get better, and we'll go from there. All right?